Muckle Flugga, the island on the very edge. The evocatively named Muckle Flugga and technically Outstack are the most northerly part of the UK and are truly islands on the very edge. A sea kayaking classic, and for years has been on my personal wish list to visit and land on Muckle Flugga. Situated off the northern tip of the Shetland Isles, it's as close to the Arctic Circle as it is from Edinburgh, and it's certainly very much out there. And as such, it's very much affected by rapidly changing weather systems, ocean swells, and also has very strong tides running round it. In all ways, it is an island, or perhaps more, a lump of rock on the very edge, while Muckle Flugga is an Old Norse name for Big Cliff Island. Steve and I visited Shetland to kayak in August 24. While there, we saw a potentially small weather window for a Muckle Flugga attempt. On a very windy day, we took the opportunity to travel and took 2 ferries and drove across the islands of Yell and Unst in the hope we may get out to Muckle Flugga the following day if conditions had calmed down before more wind and swell arrived, which was forecast to hit the islands a few days later. On arrival at the north of Unst, we had a 2-hour return walk to Hermanus Point to get a view of Muckle Flugga. Well, having travelled so far, at least we wanted to see it, even if conditions didn't allow us to visit. It was certainly a very impressive place, and did look like islands on the very edge. Conditions this day, as expected, were fairly wild, and it would need to calm down a fair bit if we were considered trying to visit the following day. The following day the wind had significantly dropped, and the forecast still showed a window of opportunity before it changed again later. We decided to try for it and launched from the old lighthouse keeper's shore base in Borough Firth. From our very sheltered launch spot, we had no idea how much the swell had dropped, but it looked promising. Significant tides run around Muckle Flugga up to 6 knots, with the potential for dangerous sea conditions in the races that form. This required careful planning. We had waited for a late afternoon tidal window, which would also give any local swell from yesterday's winds a chance to die off a bit more. So we planned to be at the crossing point late afternoon, with the last of the ebb flow in the channel. This gave us the slackest conditions for the crossing there and back. About 45 minutes of sheltered paddling took us up towards the point of Hermanus and our first view of Muckle Flugga from the boats, and more importantly, a chance to view the sea state. We weren't really sure what was going to greet us at this point, but we liked what we saw. The sea state had calmed down considerably overnight, and the ground swell looked fairly low. It didn't take us long to agree the crossing was on. What an amazing view ahead of us. The paddle across was very atmospheric. With every stroke I felt a sense of isolation and exposure growing. Well, there were just 2 of us, with no local knowledge other than the tidal atlas and a guidebook. We did, however, notice the flood tide was already running when we arrived at the point. Not quite what we had calculated. We did later learn the tides here can be fairly unpredictable. Before long the gannets came to greet us, which just added to the experience. Though we did witness Mother Nature in the roar, the great skewers or bonxes were ganging up on the gannets with aerial attacks, taking them down for the contents of their stomachs. sea conditions were very relaxed. We could feel the tidal movement, but with low wind, low swell, and being near slack water, it was about as calm as you could get. As we approached, we looked for a gap in the skerries that would take us into the landing spot and the steps. We found a gap and we headed on past an old set of steps. We found the newer steps and a slightly better landing spot. Landing here isn't that easy, but we made it without mishap. Both the old steps and the newer set were in a poor state and totally absent in some places. Presumably winter storms had taken their toll on them. On through past the lighthouse and onto the helipad.
Afternoon nap time.
And of course the catch net just had to be utilised for that classic picture.
There is out skerries.
Thank you, Stephen.
Oh,
Thank you, Shetland.
thank you, Shetland. All the way around, and out there is Greenland.
The tide running round the north side of Muckle Flugga and Unst was clearly visible, and the races were starting to form, and it was still fairly slack in the first third of the tide cycle. We allowed ourselves time to soak it all in. This was the most northerly point of the UK you can stand on, with Unst just 300 metres away, the absolute most northerly point. The view was stunning. We did indeed feel we were stood on the very edge, and I felt very privileged to be there. We found the lighthouse plaque. This is a Stevenson lighthouse and was built in 1855.
Sure, I don't see it.
We had a look around and took some more pictures before reluctantly heading back down the steps to the boats.
So you're the mountaineer, not me. That's him done anyway, I'm alone on Muckle Flugga. Right, see you in the morning.
Launching was again uneventful, with only a very small amount of gel coat left on the barnacles. As we headed out, we could see the sea state, and tide was rapidly picking up around Outstack. We didn't feel the need to paddle around it, so headed back towards Unst and Hermanus Point. Before long the gannets were back. I swear they had come to see us off and say goodbye. A most amazing bird and my firm favourite. Looking back, we did notice the forecast iffy weather seemed to be moving in behind us. The paddle back was wonderfully relaxing. I felt genuinely contented and privileged to have visited this special place.